Hi, welcome to the small shed where we're on the road. See you in a minute. Now we need to have a conversation. I'm about to start another big new project. That's in addition to the garage, the bus bunk, Palletwood Land Rover, Stourbridge Town Railway layout, and of course Hetty. But bear with me. Next year, of course, I've got repainting the house and probably putting new fascias and gutters up, and there'll be some work in the garden as well. But it's not quite as bad as it sounds. I hear you saying, that's too much, you're mad. Let me explain. Now, when I introduced you to Hetty, I did probably cruelly refer to her as the elephant in the room, because it was something that was there and causing me, I won't say mental problems, but it was a block to me getting anything done. It was an embarrassment and I wanted to get it sorted. But in fact there is something bigger and greyer on the drive. And the problem is that if I get Hetty sorted, I won't be able to get her out of the garage and take her anywhere. Because until I resolve the other elephant, the elephant on the drive, I'm kind of stuck. So let me introduce you to the other elephant, Isabella, otherwise known as Bella, which is a Ferrari F355 replica kit car body kit that's been put on a Toyota MR2. It was a car I imported from Japan probably 12 years ago now. Now at the time I was incredibly busy. I was doing 6 in the morning till 7 or 8 at night out of the house at work, commuting over to Leicester, and I just got somebody to do most of the work for me on it. It was a build that I wasn't going to be able to undertake at home, and I used it for a while and thoroughly enjoyed it. And then I happened to be out in it the one day and I'd been having battery problems, and the thing just died on me at the side of the motorway just prior to one, well, it was a bank holiday weekend. So it got put on an AA trailer, brought home, it was backed onto the drive, and it stayed there ever since. I put a cover over it because I wasn't going to be able to do anything with it straight away. And anybody that knows glass fibre bodies and plastic covers know that they're not very good bedfellows. And within a few months it had started to bubble the paint. You get osmosis in the paint, water damp gets underneath it, it bubbles, and it becomes a problem. So what was a minor thing to solve started to become a bigger thing to solve, and as time went by it just got bigger and bigger. And again, at the time I hadn't got the time to deal with it, so it got left, it got put back, it got put back. Then I came into what I call semi-retirement for 4 years, when I was working for Aviva as a building surveyor. And although that probably would have been the time to have got it sorted, at the time I effectively took a 50% pay cut to go and do that, and whilst things went tight, I hadn't got the money to start throwing at Bella. And so it stayed there, and the longer it stayed, the worse it's got. And just like Hetty, and to some extent like the garage, the longer you leave these things, the more it becomes a barrier mentally, and you don't want to deal with it, so you just put it to the back of your mind. Now, at the beginning of this year, I did try and set myself some goals to get some of these barriers moved on, and there's been a little bit of success on that score, in that the garage is starting to move. I'm getting stuff done in there. It won't be done overnight, but at least I'm dealing with it. And the same with Hetty, you know, it's now something I can get at, and I can see, and I can chew it off in lumps. But there's nothing I can do about Bella, really, because A, I'm getting too old to be lying underneath cars on the drive. It's too big to go in the garage because we've got the toilet at the back, so there's no room in there to work on it. I'm certainly not skilled enough to respray it, and whilst I might have the ability to be able to take all the bodywork back to effectively the gel coat and body primer, I'm not probably skilled enough to do any of the minor repairs that are needed, and quite frankly I can't be bothered. And COVID again provided a useful and convenient excuse why I didn't need to do anything. Now, having said that, I hadn't done nothing this year. What I had achieved was to join a couple of Facebook groups, one of which was a Ferrari replica group, and one of which dealt with the specific kit that I'd got, in the vague sort of hope that either something would miraculously come along and solve the problem, and I didn't know what, or that I might find somebody who wanted to buy it, or who knows. But I had joined that group, or those two groups, and that was probably as far as it had got. And then a couple of weeks ago, somebody mentioned that there was a film company looking for a tired, tatty F355 kit, if anybody had one. They hadn't got a huge budget, and that became sort of a thought process that would probably not be ideal, but was probably going to be the best thing for me. And so I tentatively started to go down that route. But then in one 24-hour period, 3 things happened that I suspect were just coincidence, but led me to believe that I wasn't doing the right thing. First of all, when I went up in the roof to get the Christmas jigsaw down for my wife, as you saw hopefully yesterday, I found the Lego Ferrari that my son had bought me some years ago, and which I hadn't built up. So I suppose that was a bit of a nudge. And then I had to go to the dentist, and I got in the car, and what did the mileage to left in the tank show me? As soon as I switched the ignition on, 355. Went to the dentist, and I came back home, and there was a post on one of the I think it was the Ferrari replica group, by a guy called Michael Roberts, who he said, oh, I've just picked up my car from a firm up in Ashby de la Zouch, been getting its COVID repair work done, been having a little bit of work done on it, and I thought, oh, somebody interested in, he'd got some photographs, they were restoring an F360 kit that had been standing for 10 years. So I messaged him and said, you know, what have you had done, and how'd you find them, that sort of thing. And as it was, he hadn't had a lot done, but I think he has some connections or personal friendships with, and we got into conversation, and so it ended up with me ringing up Jerry at GE, the firm that we were talking about, and I had a conversation, and it seemed to be that he understood what I wanted, and although it was going to cost a shed load of money, it wasn't quite as horrendous as it could have been. So that's what's happening. I'm on my way up there now to go and see Jerry, and hopefully I think Michael's coming along as well. Hiya, how are you, alright?
Yeah, about 6 months. Yeah.
He's a funny chap. Absolutely funny chap.
He's a lovely chap.
Yeah.
You know, he's just like us. You know, he wants to use all plastic.
Yeah.
You know, we can all pay 20 grand for a repaint and sit in
Oh,
the
yes,
for the rest
yes.
of your life. That's easy.
And you
But what's the
park
problem?
it in the supermarket car park, and it gets
and you just
the side
know
pushed
that
in.
Paint is sort of going to run down the side
Yeah.
of the pram or something.
Yeah.
Then you've got the problems of running into this and having these still fit. So we've got to make these fit still. And then there's nowhere for his hazard switches or anything. So we're fabricating a panel in there at the minute to hold them all in.
Hopefully that's one thing less I've got to worry about. I know there again I haven't been inside it for...
That's all this end, that's no good.
What's that meant to be? The panel for the...
Yeah. But you can't, I mean, obviously you've got this with the turbo. You've got your aircon and everything, and this is just silly little heating controls. There's nothing to directional heat or anything on these, so we've had to get the original one, that one on the floor,
Yes.
and make it fit that square there.
Right.
So I shall build that up with fiberglass and shape it so it looks the same, then
Fitting
paint
the same.
it sort of finished down here. So we managed to cut the kit and move it back so the glass fits in there in a little tiny recess like the original from factory. As you know yourself, most kits are stuck on.
Yeah.
They look awful.
Yeah.
So it took the time just to
Do it properly.
bond it in so it looks nice when it's in. Of course, there's little bits of work still to do in here, but as you can see, it's all welded, it's all been done nice, it's stamped in nice. And that diffuser, well, that must have been on something else. Because it certainly didn't fit there. And this was we had to cut this into 5 or 6 different parts just to get it to fit, you know, and it fits now.
Well, I hope mine's better than that. I mean, as I say, when you said it was 10 years standing, I assumed it was like mine had been, not
well,
the kit, which is
horrendous.
just...
Well, you could get your hand in these as well, couldn't you, Mark? So we've had to refabricate all these gaps. Well, obviously when we fit them properly after it's been painted, we'll put them all on double back foam and they'll be solid.
Great.
Nothing fit. But again, it's another one of those. If you're given the time, you can get it bang on.
Yes.
But it all depends what you
Time,
want to throw at it.
time and money.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much. I won't
No,
waste any
very
more
well.
of your time. Thank you ever so much. Thank
You
you
can
for
come
the...
any time you want to come, mate. That's
I
no
will...
problem.
Well, that's proved to be a very, very productive afternoon. I've just had an hour or so with Jerry and everybody is talking the right language as far as I'm concerned. He's understands what I want and I understand, I believe what he can do. So it looks like that's going to be the answer. I need to go away and think about it and organise some logistics. I've got to actually get Bella loaded onto a transporter now and taken up there. But he's going to have a look and assess, and then we'll go on from there as to what we'll need doing and more importantly how much it's going to cost. But it's a step forward, and it's the first step forward it's taken, as I said, for over 10 years. The other important thing that's come out of it, as far as I'm concerned, is that Jerry is also an MR2 Toyota man, which is what the base of my car is. So therefore he instantly understands any problems that you mentioned. I said that I'd had the alternator go, and he's sort of said, yeah, they do that, and explained how and why and what causes it, and you get the comfort of knowing somebody that knows what they're talking about, which gives you some confidence as well. It's going to leave me with a couple of problems which will involve even more bags of money, I think. Clearly the stupid thing to do would be to take it back home when it was finished, put it on the drive and put a plastic cover over it, and that's not going to happen. I haven't got room for it in the garage because the toilet's at the back of the garage anyway, and Hetty's in there. I did look at the sort of little pull-up, like a pram hood, temporary garages that you can get to put on your drive. But the snag with that is that you've still got a structure that you've got to get that's in the way of the garage, so that I still wouldn't be able to get the three-wheeler out. So it does look like I'm either going to have to find a local lock-up garage, which is probably pretty unusual and unlikely to find, that I could rent, or more likely, but again more expensive, will be that I've probably got to put it into proper controlled humidity and temperature storage, and that brings all sorts of logistics problems of getting cars in and out, and how long you leave them there, and how they get looked after while they're away, you know. But that's something I can go away and research. That's a problem I'd far rather have. It's what's actually happened is that today has taken probably the last huge weight off my mind that I'd got from things like that. It unlocks the drive, it unlocks Hetty, it unlocks me getting other things done. It's not going to involve me in anything other than coming up and having a look at it, which is far more than happy for me to do, and keep an eye on it. So there we are. That's why we needed to talk. I'm doing another huge project, but in this instance it shouldn't take me any time, it shouldn't take me any huge effort other than paying for it, but it will provide some more content for the channel every now and again. I can run you through a bit of the history of the car, how it's got to the state that it's in, because there's a bit of a story to that as well, and hopefully when we get it on the move to go up there, I'll take some more pictures with it. So I hope you've had an interesting and enjoyable Boxing Day. Hope you've had a good Christmas, and I look forward to seeing you next week. We'll try and be doing something different that hopefully won't be a new project. I'll see you then. Bye.